I posted a video and it got 0 impressions. Not low impressions, not slow growth, literally nothing. No one saw it, no one clicked it, and there was no data to even understand what went wrong. That's when I realized I wasn't dealing with a performance problem. I was dealing with a distribution problem. At first, I thought it was just bad luck or timing. Maybe YouTube just hadn't picked it up yet. But after a few hours turned into a full day, it became obvious that nothing was going to happen unless something changed. So instead of waiting and hoping, I decided to treat the situation like a controlled test. The goal wasn't to make a better video, it was to understand why the video wasn't being shown at all. Because if YouTube isn't even testing your content, then quality doesn't matter yet. That flips the whole way you think about improving. So I went back and looked at what I had actually made, not from a creator perspective, but from YouTube's perspective. What is this video, and who is it clearly for? And the honest answer was, it wasn't clear enough. The topic was broad, the angle was vague, and even though it made sense to me, it didn't give the algorithm anything strong to work with. It wasn't obvious who should be shown this video first. And when that isn't obvious, the video doesn't move. That's when I realized something important about this stage. YouTube doesn't reward effort at the beginning. It rewards clarity. If it can't categorize your video quickly, it won't test it properly. So instead of making another video and hoping for a different result, I changed one variable. I made the next video extremely specific, not better, not longer, just clearer in terms of the exact problem it was addressing. Instead of talking about YouTube growth in general, I focused on one very specific issue: 0 impressions on a new channel. Something that someone could recognize instantly if they were experiencing it. Then I matched everything to that: the title, the thumbnail, and the structure of the video. Not to make it more impressive, but to make it easier to understand at a glance. Because that's what YouTube needs to even attempt to test. At this point, I stopped thinking about views completely. Views are a result of impressions and clicks, and I didn't even have impressions yet. So the only metric that mattered was whether the video was shown at all. If the video gets impressions, then I know YouTube understands it enough to show it somewhere. And once that happens, then performance starts to matter. Then clicks and retention actually mean something. But without impressions, nothing else starts. You don't get feedback, you don't get data, and you don't get any signal to build on. You're just guessing and hoping something eventually works. So this test became very simple. Can I make a video that YouTube can clearly understand and place into a category? Not perfect, just clear enough to be matched to a small audience. Because once YouTube can match your video to even a small group of people, it starts the process. It shows it, measures the response, and then decides what to do next. And that's the part most advice skips over. Everyone talks about growth, but almost nobody talks about getting tested in the first place. And that's where most new channels get stuck. So instead of trying to compete with big channels or make highly polished videos, I focused on reducing confusion, making the topic obvious, the problem clear, and the audience specific. That's when things start to shift, not dramatically, but enough to notice. Even a small number of impressions is a signal that something is working differently. And that signal is everything at this stage, because it gives you something to repeat, something to refine, and something to build on. Without that signal, you're just throwing content into the void. And that's what I was doing before without realizing it. So if you're in the same position, posting videos and getting nothing back, this is probably the issue. It's not that your content is terrible, it's that it's not clear enough to be tested. Once you understand that, your strategy changes completely. You stop chasing perfection, and you start chasing clarity. And clarity is what gets your video into the system. This doesn't mean your content can be bad, but it does mean quality isn't the first bottleneck. Being understood is the first bottleneck. And once you get past that, everything else becomes measurable. Now you can improve titles, thumbnails, retention, and actually see the impact. Before that, none of those improvements matter because nothing is being shown. That's why this stage is so frustrating, because it feels like nothing works. But it's not that nothing works, it's that you're solving the wrong problem. You're trying to improve performance before you even have distribution. So right now, the only goal is to get impressions, not a lot. Just enough to start the process. Because once that starts, Everything else finally has a chance to work. That's what I'm testing now, and it's the first time I feel like I'm actually working on the right problem. Not guessing, not hoping, but testing something specific. And if this works, even slightly, then that becomes the foundation for everything that comes next. Because now it's not random anymore. Now it's repeatable.